Welcome to CIC. This is number 18. It's been a hot minute. It's the summer programming for CIC, and I'm back after a long hiatus, and I had projects I had to get done, and now they're done, and I'm free to resume the programming here, but also get into some hijinks in the studio, which means follow my muse and do what the hell I like in order to make stuff there. And but a lot of have to do things are behind me now, and I feel great. I can finally enjoy the summer in a sort of more or less relaxed frame of mind, because I've been driving kind of hard for the last several weeks to a month. Anyway, the purpose of this video is to give you guys a panorama of Tossa de Mar. And now, sweep of the town. I'm here in the promontory of the town. Geologically, there's a place called Cap Tossa, which is behind me, a promontory where a lighthouse is established at the top of the hill, and this hill is the sanctuary for the inhabitants of this town in the Middle Ages. These towers that you see surround Cap Tossa, and behind these walls is a sort of ancient village of this town. And these walls were meant to discourage piracy. There was sort of a slave trade in the Mediterranean, and it was not uncommon for boats to haul up and then people pulled and take it against their will. So these towers were built, and behind these walls people took refuge. And the deeper history of this town goes to the before the Middle Ages even. We're going to talk about the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians, and after that the Romans. There was a Roman settlement here, and there's actually archaeological ruins of if you could see, maybe I could zoom in and post here, archaeological ruins of a Roman villa. So I imagine they were making wine and stuff like this here, and sort of an outpost. And when that all withered away into history, this was basically a part of, and maybe in the heart of, I guess people would like to think so, the Catalan comarca, the region of Catalonia, established in the Middle Ages. And it's far beyond me to get into the details here, but the general sketch is that before France was France, there was an empire in that general location, and the wealthy people in this part of the region were bequeathed the county or comarca of Catalonia. I'm butchering this, I'm sure, but basically I want to say that Catalonia is a very wide region, kind of amorphous, but extending all the way to Sardinia, to the Baleares Islands, and far down south as Murcia. So all of this with more or less the same language and the same historical identity, a very self-possessed peoples who are very clear on who they are. And this is Spain, where we've got Spain is a composite of many cultures with deep roots. I'm thinking about the Basques and the Galicians and the southern Spain with its Moorish roots. And so it's an uneasy union, but a union nonetheless, and their identity to the extent that it's shared, is not as large as the identity that they have individually. And the Catalan identity is very, very distinct. The language, the people here say that it's sort of like street Roman, street Latin, whereas the court Latin became Castellano, which is Spanish, and the street Latin became Catalan, which could be local fairy tale, I don't know, but fairy tales are important because they tell you about the spirit of the people. The people here also locally, they think that they they have more affinity with the Baleares Islands, Marbella, Ibiza, and stuff like this in terms of their language, the way their pronunciation and vocabulary is slightly inflected in that direction. So I think it's interesting detail. Anyway, I want to tell you why I'm here. I guess I must have mentioned this before, but I might recap. But basically, family reasons originally was a big motivator, and also career reasons, because I had a lot of activity in Europe, many galleries representing me in the early 2000s, and I thought it was smart in order to, if there was a possibility of getting a studio here. My mother's side of the family, from the Philippines. My mother married my father. They met in Madrid, and that's where I was born. My grandfather from the Philippines sent his children to study in Madrid. And later on, much of that family, nearly all of it, emigrated to Australia. And they're full Australians now, multi-generationally, and very happy Australians. And but over the years, into the 90s, the phenomena occurred that my some aunts and uncles started to buy apartments here, and my mother reported that she bought an apartment. I was astonished, and my wife and I entertained the idea, and then jumped on an opportunity to get this house that you've seen in a previous video. So we've been here. We bought the house in 2000, and now 26 years in. Every summer we try to stay here to the visa maximum, which is 90 days, typically barring COVID and extraordinary circumstances like moving to New York. But mainly for nearly all of those years, those summers, we've been here in this town. And it's quite a delight, I have to say. So what else can I say? So this town, in the post-World War I era, there was a kind of increased mobility of people. The continent was agitated by the war, and people were moving around more. Plus, roads were being improved. And Tossa is an hour and a half from Barcelona north, and roughly about the same distance south from the French border in the Pyrenees, and Perpignan and Cadaqués in that part. And so we, as you can tell from the hills in the distance, we're in the middle of a mountain range. I think it's called the Cabriolet. Probably wrong with that, but anyways, it's inaccessible because the roads were so winding and so difficult. But over the years, in World War I was the first sort of major improvements of the road system. Brought people from Barcelona that would come up here and vacation. And some of them cultural figures, I won't say leading figures, but significant ones, committed ones to Tossa. And that was a kind of a seed and inception. And in the build-up of World War II, through the persecutions by the Nazis, was a diaspora of people, artists, intellectuals, a lot of Jews, but a lot of other Eastern Europeans and people that were more independent-minded. They would seek refuge in this town. So this theme and topic of refuge is sort of cooked into the DNA of this town. These echoing the construction of these walls and towers to defend the more ancient inhabitants of this town from the slave trade. As the Franco era and the Civil War erupted, that was the end of that period where artists like Marc Chagall and a whole other list, I'll put them on the screen, and I'm going to do a video about these guys in the future. Were in this town, but the two that I'm most sort of interested in and kind of proud to share a kind of history with is André Masson and Georges Bataille. Masson lived in this town for 2 years or more, and Bataille visited several times, spending months at a time in this town. And they produced a number of things and collaborated in Acéphale, where Masson illustrated the booklet, and it's just wonderful legacy, and it makes me proud to be here. But in the wake of the Spanish Civil War, all of this evaporated, and it wasn't until the 50s when MGM had filmed Pandora and the Flying Dutchman, the movie. Some say it's the first Hollywood movie, which is partly filmed in sound stages in London. But anyway, the MGM brand modern movie shot in Spain. And in this modern movie shot in Spain in the Franco era, the first words uttered in the film are Catalan, which is significant because Catalan was banned by Franco. There were signs in the street famously saying, "Don't speak like a dog, speak proper Spanish or Castellano." So, you know, it's a deep topic, but it's a very tender nerve here. But that movie, Pandora and the Flying Dutchman, starring Ava Gardner and James Mason, had given a touch of Hollywood to this town. So in the ensuing years, and we're talking about the 50s and into the 60s, there was a kind of panache and a kind of increase of nightclubs and tourism in this town, with this sort of that sort of echoes of glamour, and so. This town was a kind of a hot thing in those days, despite being squelched by the general fascist government at that time. With Franco's death, all of Spain just exploded, with sort of new liberal freedom. And maybe I'll tell that story later. Maybe I can get some locals to tell us a story. And so the flowering of Spain post-Franco in I think what was it 76 or 78 or something like that, was quite a thing. And therefore, here we are today in Tossa de Mar in 2026, and that will be the Panorama. Just a little detail. See if I could zoom in on our house here. And let's go for a walk, and I'll show you my favorite beach. A little pocket beach called Codelar. So this is Codelar, my favorite beach in this town. Very typical of the Calas and the Costa Brava. But from this little pocket beach, there's a little chiringuito down there. And the water, which I'm going to take you guys down into in future videos, is kind of interesting around this promontory.